When you're talking about firings, you're looking for a media hit and a fundraising clip, and I'm not going to give it to you.
It doesn't matter under what basis they left. I just want to know how many have left. And I think your testimony is nobody has left. Next question.
Nope,
Which
that's
field-
not my testimony. You asked it one time. I answered it one time. You didn't get the answer you wanted for your clip,
Next
so you keep
question.
asking it, and I told you I'd get you the numbers, but you can keep asking it.
Your most significant qualification. This is not just something that I noted, but others. Your most significant qualification was your 100% loyalty to President Trump.
Excellent qualified personnel to lead the mission of arresting 23,000 violent criminals this year alone. That's twice as many
the
as
people
before.
who took the places of
I'm not going to give you any names so you can attack them.
Why not?
So you can attack them. I'm not doing that.
This hearing was called to examine one specific question. How many FBI employees have left since January 2025, and why? A senator is sitting across from the FBI director asking for basic workforce numbers. What she is getting back is not a number, it is a challenge. That moment tells you everything about how this exchange was going to go, and it only gets more heated from here. Let's go back to where it started.
I want to better understand the scope of the turnover and the changes occurring at the FBI. Since January 2025, how many FBI employees have retired, resigned, been fired, or otherwise separated from employment? I need a number.
We'll get you a number.
What is the number? You don't have it?
Not off the top of my head, and I want to get you the right number.
Next question. How many special agents or analysts have left or been fired?
Say, we will get you the numbers, and anyone that retires is of their own volition, and anyone that is terminated at the FBI, as I've said before, is done so because they have failed to meet the standards and uphold their loyalty and oath to the Constitution.
Yeah, so you say. Next question. How many executive assistant directors, or special agents in charge have left or been fired from the FBI since January 20th?
Again, people leaving on their own accord or terminations were done by the standards set at the FBI that have been carried out
With this question, I'm getting
consistently.
to the leadership of the FBI, and you don't have that. Okay, so you're telling me that no field office, division, or directorate has lost any personnel since January 20th, 2025. That's your answer?
In Hawaii, there's been a plus up. In every single state that I'm looking at, we have allocated a plus up for field offices across the country so that the FBI can continuing the historic achievements it's done in these last 7 months. When you're talking about firings, you're looking for a media hit and a fundraising clip, and I'm not going to give it to you.
The FBI director does not know how many people have left his own agency. In any organization, public or private, leadership is expected to know its own workforce numbers. When that answer is, I'll get you the number, in a prepared Senate testimony, it raises an immediate question about what other basic institutional data this director does and does not have ready. And then watch what happens next. Instead of the number, the answer becomes field office plus-ups. That is not an answer to the question that was asked. Redirecting to a different metric when the original metric is uncomfortable is a pattern this hearing establishes in its very first exchange.
Which field office, division, or directorate has gained the most personnel since January 2025? You noted that there have been plus-ups, so which offices have received these plus-ups?
The greatest allocation that I believe was given to California and then Florida.
Director Patel, you often refer to FBI agents as cops. All of us, Democrats and Republicans, support the police officers who keep our communities safe. But while our states and equip the FBI to take on missions that local police cannot, especially taking on terrorists, hackers, and spies, the FBI is the nation's lead federal law enforcement agency for investigating and preventing acts of domestic and international terrorism. And yet the executive assistant directors in charge of the FBI's national security and intelligence branches were both forced out at the beginning of the year. Who replaced them in those positions?
Excellent qualified personnel to lead the mission of arresting 23,000 violent criminals this year alone. That's twice as many as before.
Who took the places of
I'm not going to give you any names so you can attack them.
Why not?
So you can attack them. I'm not doing that. The
You're not
people
gonna
sitting
give
in
me the
those seats
names
are
of-
extremely qualified to handle the job.
You're
We
not
would
gonna
not
give
have
me
the
the names
results.
of personnel who
We would
should
not
be
have the
on your
reduction
website.
of
Fine,
violence in the
moving
state
on.
of Hawaii if we did not allocate the
Earlier
resources we
this
did.
year,
Refusing to name the replacements for the executive assistant directors overseeing national security and intelligence is a significant institutional choice. These are not low-level positions. These are the people responsible for the FBI's most sensitive missions: counterterrorism, foreign intelligence, domestic threats. In any functioning democracy, Senate oversight requires knowing who holds those seats. I'm not giving you names so you can attack them is not a legal justification for withholding that information. It is a political one, and that distinction matters enormously in an oversight hearing.
FBI counterterrorist special agents and investigators were reassigned to assist with immigration enforcement. Reportedly, these counterterrorism experts were returned to the jobs they trained for in late January after Iran threatened to retaliate for our strikes on their nuclear facilities.
FBI agents' primary responsibility is exactly what they are assigned to do. We always work with our
So since they
interagency
returned
part.
to their positions,
If you're not
are
going to
they
let me
still in
answer,
those
why don't you
positions?
just do your soliloquy in the 4.5 minutes you have
I
left?
am not asking for a soliloquy. It's just a yes or no. Are those people who were returned to their jobs still on those jobs? Yes or no?
They never left.
What was that?
They never left their primary job. It is a surge of resources in law enforcement working with the interagency to combat violent crime and reduce
They were
violent
never,
crime in
okay, they were never
historic
reassigned to do immigration.
proportions.
Since President Trump's inauguration, the executive assistant director in charge of the criminal and cyber branch and the head of the FBI's cyber division have both left the FBI. What are the names of the people who replace them in those positions?
The cyber branch is one of the most impressive at the FBI. 409 arrests this year, 169 convictions. That's a 42% increase from the same time last year.
It's that
So
branch,
any
Mr.
suggestion that
Patel.
the FBI cyber division is not operating at full capacity and better than ever before,
People who originally were there,
supremely
Are no longer
qualified
there.
individuals have those positions.
are they? Cybercrime were also reassigned for immigration enforcement. Have those expert investigators returned to their duties? Yes or no?
All agents remained on their primary duties while surging to allocate resources for interagency operations to the Homeland Security task forces across this country. And you don't want that.
Additional personnel cuts to the cyber division in the future?
The only people that will be terminated at the FBI will be those that violate their oath of office or fail to meet the high standards at the FBI.
Count how many yes or no questions were asked in this clip, and count how many yes or no answers came back. Counterterrorism experts reassigned during an active Iran threat. Did they return? Cyber division agents pulled for immigration enforcement. Are they back on their primary mission? These are not complicated questions. They require one word. What came back instead was operational language designed to sound like an answer without actually being one. In a legal setting, that pattern has a name. In a Senate hearing, it becomes the story.
Director Patel, the FBI is meant to be the tip of the spear in combating terrorism against the United States from both foreign and domestic sources, hackers and spies. You have the FBI playing the role of local police and helping with immigration enforcement. That you are now requiring applicants to be able to do a certain kind of pull-ups, which a lot of women cannot because of physiological differences.
We are requiring a physical program at BFTC at Quantico because FBI agents carrying guns in the field have to chase down bad guys and do really hard work. The physical fitness standards of those agents
So are
are
you
being
requiring
appropriately
these
assessed.
kinds of pull-ups?
We are requiring everybody to pass the 1811 standards at BFTC. If you want to chase down a bad guy
Excuse me,
and put
the
him in
reason I
handcuffs, you
asked-
better be able to do a pull-up. Doing one
Anyway,
pull-up
Mr.
is not
Patel,
harsh,
I
and there are
am
always
gravely
medical
concerned.
exemptions to that.
This debate looks procedural on the surface, but it lands in a very specific context. The FBI has already lost thousands of experienced agents. Replacements are now being actively recruited. And at the exact same time, both the educational and physical entry requirements are being restructured. Removing a college degree requirement while introducing a pull-up standard is not inherently wrong. But the timing raises a question that nobody in this hearing fully pushed on. Are these changes designed to build a stronger FBI or to build a more accessible recruitment pipeline because the experienced talent pool has already walked out the door? Those are two very different motivations with very different long-term consequences.
I am gravely concerned by the state of the FBI under your control. And in fact, you are willing to take a cut in your agency of almost $500 million, leading to loss to early retirements, firings, and reassignments to immigration enforcement or conducting local police work. Thousands have already left. Mr. Patel, before the vote on your nomination of this committee, I noted that your most significant qualification was your 100% loyalty to President Trump.
That is an entire falsehood. You can delete my 16 years of government service to multiple administrations all you want. The fact is that I was a public defender. I was a national security prosecutor. I was a House intelligence staffer. I was a deputy director of intelligence. I was a chief of staff to the Department of Defense and the Secretary of Defense. I led the counterterrorism missions for the White House. Those are just some of the jobs I held in my 16-year career. There was no loyalty then. There's no loyalty now to anything but the Constitution.
The loyalty accusation is the most serious charge in this entire exchange, and Patel's response to it deserves careful examination. He lists his career: public defender, prosecutor, intelligence staffer, deputy director, chief of staff at the Pentagon. That is a real and substantial resume. But the senator's argument is not that he lacks qualifications. It is that those qualifications are now being directed by a single loyalty rather than by the Constitution. 16 years of service does not automatically answer that question. And the fact that this hearing ended without a clean resolution to that charge is itself part of the public record now.